Hey yo, how's it going everybody? Welcome to the start of a new series coming to not only my channel but also the Token Minorities channel. This is going to be a series where me and Mr. TTM Jolt discuss Let's Go Pokemon.
Who's that?
Oh, yeah, he's right here actually, by the way.
How's it going,
you guys might have heard him there. So this is a series where we're going to be talking about Pokemon in Let's Go draft leagues, essentially. And there's going to be a couple different topics we're going to be talking about each Pokemon here. We're going to be talking about stats, their move pools, what roles they fulfill in draft leagues when it comes to Let's Go, and then what checks and counters, as well as a fifth topic where we both will be giving our input into it. So I will be talking about one topic and then Jolt himself will be talking about one topic. This will also be alternated between the SixftHax channel and the Token Minority channel. Every Monday, you guys will get a video from the Token Minorities for the series, and then every Thursday, you will get a video on the SixftHax channel. But because this is our first episode, we both are going to be uploading it at the same time on our channels so you guys can know more about it. So if you guys do not want to miss a single episode, make sure to subscribe to my channel, SixftHax, and to Jolt's channel, the Token Minorities, so you do not miss a single episode. Also, let us know what you think about this series in the comment section below, and make sure to destroy that like button as well. And I think with all that out of the way, I don't know about Jolt, but I am super excited for this series, and I think I'm going to let him take it from here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. So before I jump into talking a little bit about our Pokemon for this episode, Aerodactyl, if you didn't already know that from the title, I guess like the overall idea of the series for you guys is it kind of gives you, or hopefully will give you an idea for, you know, what these Pokemon can do in the draft league metagame for Pokemon Let's Go. And I know a lot of you guys probably aren't going to actually play in Pokemon Let's Go leagues, but at the very least, hopefully it'll help you kind of follow the thought processes of coaches in different Let's Go leagues that you might be watching here throughout this year as we await the release of Generation 8. So just kind of keep that stuff in mind as we go over these this competitive analysis over all these Pokemon. And hey, maybe if you get the chance to play in your own Let's Go league, then hopefully this can be a nice resource for you as well as you're planning for your drafts. So with that said, we can go ahead and jump on into our Pokemon for this episode, and that is Aerodactyl, both Mega Aerodactyl and regular. We're going to try to discuss both of them and just give you a little bit of a competitive analysis on the two. So I'm going to start this off by looking at the stats for these two Pokemon. We'll start with Mega Aerodactyl. Mega Aerodactyl is kind of widely considered by people who have dabbled in the Let's Go Draft League metagame to this point to be one of the absolute best Pokemon in the metagame, just because it's able to basically deal with the vast majority of the Pokemon that are actually allowed. As I'm sure most of you guys know, Pokemon Let's Go only allows Pokemon from the Kanto region, and it just so turns out that there's not too many Pokemon that can really switch in and deal with something like Mega Aerodactyl, and we'll talk more about that later on. But you can see the stats here in front of you. It's lightning fast, just like it has been in the previous games where it's been around. Base 150 speed, outspeeds absolutely everything in the game for Pokemon Let's Go, with the only exception, I believe, being speed tying the Electrode at base 150. Correct me if I'm wrong, Leo. I think that's the only thing that that speed ties.
Yes. Also, a quick little side note, Mega Alakazam is typically banned from Let's Go League, so that's something we're not going to be taking into consideration here.
Yeah, so what's Mega Zam's base speed? Is it 150 as well?
It is base 150, yes.
Okay, so that's another speed tie as well. But even so, it's coupling that base speed of 150 with a base attack of 135, which you can kind of do the math there and think about how that's going to impact the calcs for this game. As I already mentioned, there's not very many great switch-ins to Mega Aero, and because of that attack stat and a pretty diverse move pool that we'll talk about here soon as well, just makes that combination really threatening. In addition to having respectable bulk, as well as having access to Roost, sorry for kind of stepping on your game name there, Leo, a little bit with Roost, but I think that that's an important thing to mention here when looking at the base stats of Mega Arrow, with the base 80 HP and 95 special defense and 85 defense, really just being a powerful combination for its bulk options. Regular Aerodactyl is obviously a little bit slower, only base 130 speed in addition to 105 attack, but it's still going to kind of pose the same threat that Mega Arrow is able to, just a little bit less so in terms of what it's actually able to outspeed and how much damage it's actually able to do. But it's obviously the same typing as Mega Arrow and still has at least respectable bulk in its HP, defense, and special defense. So overall, just really solid mons. But Leo, tell us a little bit about the move pools of these guys.
All right, so talking about Aerodactyl and Mega Aerodactyl's move pool here, as Jolt did mention, it does get access to Roost, which honestly just makes regular Arrow and Mega Aerodactyl that much better. Clearly there is no real difference in between their move pool, so I'm just gonna kind of be addressing them as one direct being here, but they both get good stab moves in Rock Slide, in Wing Attack. It does kind of suck that Mega Arrow does not get Stone Edge. That would just, I think, honestly push it to the brink of being broken. Like, it's already really good, but it can kind of be dealt with a decent bit, but with Stone Edge it would just be infinitely better. It also gets access to Earthquake for some nice rock and ground coverage in general, which not many Pokemon in the Let's Go meta game are able to deal with. It also gets access to moves like Taunt and Toxic to be able to beat bulkier Pokemon that may otherwise be potentially try to be used as ways to stop being Aerodactyl here and Mega Aerodactyl. Also, a really nice move that it was still able to keep and Let's Go is a Fire Blast, because that's able to hit things like Melmetal extremely hard, making them a lot easier for Mega Aerodactyl to deal with. And one move that regular Aerodactyl can actually use way better than Mega Aerodactyl, although it may be in very less scenarios, is Agility, just because regular Aerodactyl is not as fast as Mega Arrow, so things like Electrode are able to outspeed it, and Jolteon are able to potentially speed tie with it, as where regular Aerodactyl could Agility, guaranteed that it's faster than basically everything else, and still be able to put in a lot of work. So while its move pool is not as good as it was in 7th gen, it's still very amazing compared to Let's Go standards, in my opinion. So I really feel like Mega Arrow is easily probably one of the best Pokemon allowed in Draft League format in general, with this amazing move pool. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and move on to exactly what roles Mega Arrow and regular Aerodactyl can play in Let's Go leagues.
As Leo mentioned, these guys have a really nice move pool for what's typically potential options for Let's Go Pokemon. And because of that, it can actually fill a lot of roles on your drafts and on your teams as well. It can be a solid revenge killer because of its excellent speed stat. This applies to both Mega Arrow and Arrow, as well as Mega Arrow's case, a very solid attack stat. Aerodactyl has at least a respectable attack stat, so it does make it for a very solid revenge killer, having a decent amount of a variety in terms of like types of attacks that they can bring. It's also a solid breaker, especially in Mega Aerodactyl's case, having that base attack stat. Very few things are actually able to switch into it, and we'll talk a little bit here soon about potential checks to Mega Arrow, but let's just say there are not very many things that can easily take 2 hits from Mega Arrow, and that makes it a really solid breaker, able to shuffle or basically prevent people from switching into it for free. It's also a nice cleaner in the late game because of its speed stat in addition to its attack stat, and it also has a variety of good utility options, so it's a good utility Pokemon as well, having Taunt, Roost, etc. Just able to help support your team well. And as Leo already mentioned, regular Aerodactyl can serve as a nice setup sweeper with an agility set to allow it to have that extra speed that it might need to be able to clean up a game in the end. So there's a lot of reasons why Aerodactyl is such a solid Pokemon, and Mega Arrow are both such solid Pokemon in this metagame.
Alright, so moving on to our second to last topic here, we're going to be discussing what would be checks and counters for the Pokemon that we're discussing in the video. But in the case of Mega Aerodactyl specifically, not just regular Aerodactyl, I want to kind of talk about Mega Arrow real quick. There's not actually really many counters to Mega Aerodactyl. A counter is something that is able to deal with a Pokemon to no end. Basically, the counter always beats that Pokemon one-on-one 9 out of 10 times or 10 out of 10 times, essentially. But in Let's Go, because of how strong and how fast and also how decently bulky Mega Arrow actually is, this thing, I honestly think, like me and Jolt, I think we're kind of on the same page here, right, Jolt? This does not really have many good counters, correct?
Yes, I would say it has 0.
Yeah,
counters.
like it has.
Like I would go as far as saying
it has effective checks, like pure ground types that are bulky, like Sandslash and maybe Marowak are probably the only 2 pure ground types in Let's Go that can theoretically live at least 2 hits from Mega Arrow, but in return they're not able to knock them out, and then at that point you're kind of in a 50-50 stalemate of, are they gonna go for Roost or are they gonna go for another offensive move? So that in itself can be problematic in general. I guess bulky waters like Blastoise, Mega Blastoise, Slowbro and Mega Slowbro, they are able to live more than 2 hits from Mega Aerodactyl. But the thing about Mega Aerodactyl in Draft League format when it comes to Let's Go is that because it's so fast, if your opponent doesn't have a Mon that is faster than Mega Arrow, then Mega Aerodactyl can then run Adamant Nature, just meaning that it can do that extra bit of damage to ensure that 3-hit KOs may be turned into 2-hit KOs potentially after Stealth Rocks. And then at that point, it doesn't matter how bulky a Mon can be, Aerodactyl will essentially beat it 1v1. Yes, the Pokemon will be able to switch in, live 1 hit from full HP, and then take another hit after taking that first initial hit. But the thing about it is that with there not being leftovers in Let's Go, and there not being many reliable forms of recovery, Mega Arrow essentially just needs that extra 1 hit to then be able to beat that Mon. That would essentially be your answer to Mega Aerodactyl. There is no good counters to Mega Aerodactyl in this format. Now, when it comes to Aerodactyl, the fact that its physical attack is like base 30 less is actually really nice, because that means it's clearly doing less damage. It's not going to be like Mega Arrow where it can run Adamant Nature more times than it can run Jolly Nature. But when it comes to Aerodactyl, those bulky ground types and those bulky water types are a much better answer to regular Aerodactyl as opposed to Mega Aerodactyl. So when it comes down to it, I think me and Joe can definitely agree here that Mega Arrow does not necessarily have any good counters to it whatsoever. It may have checks, but even those checks either need to ensure that they take absolutely no damage or that they're able to potentially try and set up, because things like Alolan Sandslash, it does have access to Swords Dance and Ice Shard now in Let's Go. Blastoise and Mega Blastoise do have access to Aqua Jet, which is really nice. But again, Mega Arrow does get access to Roost. It's just the fact that when you're trying to find a perfect answer to Mega Arrow, there is none. You can check it, but there's no real good way to hard check it. You can soft check it and try to keep it at bay, but eventually it could just break through whatever and just end up being able to just carry someone essentially in the end because of how good it is. And then when it comes to regular Aerodactyl, it does have its counters in those bulky ground types and those bulky water types to be able to deal with it. So yeah, Mega Arrow, just stupidly amazing, basically. Aerodactyl is still very, very good. So with our last topic here, we are going to be talking about when we think either Mega Arrow or regular Arrow should be drafted, or if they should be banned. So I'm going to let Jolt start this one off.
Yeah, so in both cases, I'm going to start right off saying if both of these Pokemon are allowed in your league, if they both are allowed, then both of them I think should go in round 1 for sure. They have so many different... There's so many different ways that you can use these Pokemon for your teams. They can support your team in so many ways, as well as just serving as being a fantastic breaker, cleaner, revenge killer for your team, like we've already mentioned before. So they are both absolutely worthy of being round 1 picks, in my opinion. Mega Arrow actually probably kind of tilts more on the broken side, I think. Mega Arrow definitely has an argument for being banned. I think Leo and I have really kind of made those points for you throughout the course of this video. Just having...
do not allow Mega Arrow, do not allow Mega Alakazam or Alakazam, do not allow Mega Gengar, But
stuff
Mega
that's
Arrow
really fast and really
allowed.
strong. It's just such a problem in Let's Go. There's so many mons that just don't have proper recovery, and I think what you'll notice as well as you're watching and partaking in Let's Go leagues throughout this generation, or I don't know if this is really considered a generation, but throughout this year, in most leagues, rest is going to be banned as a move just because it prolongs games and there's a shortened timer. I think only 20 minutes in total for the full battle, so rest is typically banned, and that's the primary mode of recovery for a lot of these Pokemon that otherwise would be able to deal with something like Mega Aerodactyls. So I don't know, my verdict is that it probably should be banned in most leagues, especially if Melmetal ends up being banned as well. What do you think, Leo?
Yes, I agree. Mega Arrows should not be allowed in Let's Go leagues because, again, as Jolt said, there's no real good form of recovery in Let's Go. Not only that, but there's no hazard removal. So if you allow Stealth Rocks, anytime a Pokemon trying to deal with Mega Arrow switches in is losing like 6%, 12%, or just how like the little bit of chip damage is so huge in Let's Go. So I 100% agree that you should probably never allow Mega Aerodactyl because of its speed. It's definitely a round one. Honestly, this is probably like round one, pick one. Pick overall, honestly. Yep. Like it's that good.
It does depend. It depends on what's allowed in your league. I think something like Melmetal would also have an argument for being #1 overall. I think stuff like Mega Alakazam, Mega Gengar would also have an argument. Mew would have an argument. Stuff like that. Some of those mons that are clearly at the top tier, but you know, a lot of those mons typically are going to be banned. So
that means Mega Arrow is easily one of the fastest mons in the format, and it always still hits extremely hard. So easily like round one, pick one, or pick two, pick three at least. If it goes, if nobody's picked it after pick 3, and you pick it like pick 4 or 5, you just basically won the league. Let's be honest here. Like it's ridiculously good. And then if that's gone, you still have a good argument to even pick regular Aerodactyl after Mega Aerodactyl's been gone, because again, regular Arrow still has all the same moves, while it may not be as effective as potentially a Revenge Killer because of certain mons that are able to outspeed it. It can use agility. It still is able to hit respectively hard. It still gets Stealth Rocks. And again, that move pool is what I really think. The move pool and the speed, I think, is what really makes regular Arrow still kind of a solid round one pick. If Mega Arrow has been picked before it. If Mega Arrow is gone, would you want to pick Arrow like maybe top 3 or 4? I'm not entirely too sure, but it's still definitely a round one worthy pick.
Yep, I agree with all of that as well. But you know what? I think we are about done here for this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and make sure to let us know in the comments what you thought about the series, and also let us know different mons you want to hear us go over for this series. Hopefully we're able to at least go over all of the better mons in the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee Draft League metagame throughout the course of the series, and if this continues, we might go on to some of the some of the mid-tier and lower tier mons as well. But yeah, just make sure to let us know what you think about all that in the comments as well. Before we wrap it up, anything you want to throw in there, Leo?
Of course, if you guys did enjoy, hit that thumbs up button down below. Check my channel out and check out TTM Jolt's channel as well. Again, we will be alternating this every Monday. An episode will be going up on the Token Minorities channel, and then every Thursday an episode will be going up on my channel, SixftHax. So if you don't want to miss a single one of these analyses that will hopefully is that a word? Analyses analyses
analyses
that will hopefully help you out in your future Let's Go draft leagues, then subscribe to both channels and don't miss a single episode. And again, let us know what mon you would like us to talk about next. But with that being said, that's all I got to say, Mr. Jolt. So later.
That's all I got to say as well. So we will see you all in the next one. Peace.